What is up, gangsters, clowns, and scrubs? I'm Jack. Today, I'm joined by Axel and Gold King, and this is Press Start for today, where we cover the gaming news that I covered on Monday, have a short little conversation about it, and then break in to the Friday funsies. So, first news story that I covered on Monday was the Elite Dangerous pilots that all warped out at the same time. And if you were missing the news story on it, have a look at this. So, Axel wanted to pick up that Elite Dangerous, yeah?
Yes, it looks like such a. It just looks like such a sexy game to play.
It really is. It really is. You saw my reaction when I jumped into that blue star, right?
Yes, I have seen that, but this particular story, the 50 ships jumping into hyperspace, just to say that these are all different players.
Yep.
And it's on a game. It's so cool, and that formation that they're in, that you can see now on the screen, is amazing. It took them what, hours to organize that?
So, generally, you're only allowed to have a dozen players in any one instance. So what they did is, through useful or tactful use of teams, or wings in this case, so you're allowed to have a 4-man crew. They managed to manipulate the system into allowing 52 pilots into one place so they can get this shot. It was a good shot. It's really pretty. Those plasma streaks.
So impressive.
I know, right? So, Gold King, are you a fan of space games, good sir?
Well, to be quite honest, I don't know how many have actually played that have worked. I mean, I play Elite Dangerous. I like the game, but playing on a keyboard is abhorrent.
Well, the first... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't know if I just haven't put enough hours in to have it, extremely good. But, currently it's just, it's just really tedious. But, looking at this, is this supposed to be introducing, some sort of, now, large-scale combat system to the game?
Nope.
It was just a cool thing that these guys decided to do.
That's it.
Okay. So, you could actually do this in a normal game.
Well, through clever use of the wing system, as I was saying previously, yes. You're only allowed to have 12 players in one instance. So 12 players around a station, 12 players in any one area, you can only have a dozen players. Through clever use of the wing or team system, they got all of these players into the same instance.
Nice. But you could have a massive battle for that. Awesome.
But yeah, they did it purely for the reasons of gamer porn.
That was it. That was the only purpose to it. There really wasn't much else to it. Bop, bop, bop. So, the Division beta broke 6.4 million players. Breaks new IP record with 6.4 million players. Now, I'm big on the Division. Reno Buckets was not too heavy on it himself, which is unfortunate. He doesn't like the feel of the game. He feels like it's too grindy. Personally, I don't feel like that's accurate. I think that, I don't know, it feels like Borderlands Plus. And that's the only accurate description I can give of it. It's nothing like Borderlands. But, there are a couple of similarities that may remind you of it. I don't know, I just thought it was interesting that the Division's open beta broke records with 6.4 million, and Destiny's beta was only at 4.6 million. So, is Axel going to be picking up the Division when it comes out? I ask as he leaves.
Did you just come back?
Yeah. And left again.
Mic trouble, maybe.
Likely. I don't know. So Axel watched me play The Division when it was in open beta that weekend. It was last weekend, with the snow building up on the top of the hats and the indents the grenades made in the snow, melting the snow with incendiaries. It's pretty solid. It's a really solid experience. I like the cover to cover system is really fluid. I enjoy the fact that every headshot's a critical and does a shit ton of damage. A lot of people are like, taking half a magazine to the head. Well, in an MMORPG setting, you can't have a straight-up shooter MMO, or one person with an aimbot's going to slay people, or one person with an overpowered weapon is going to slay people. You have the ability in the Dark Zone, if you're level 3, there's a distinct possibility that you'll be able to take out somebody, a person who's level 8 or level 9, just based on your use of tactics alone. Guns are not everything in this game, and I think that's probably what I like about it the most. Yeah, you can modify your weapons, and you can change the magazines and different types of ammo and scopes and foregrips and whatever. But at the end of the day, it comes down to how well you use cover, how well you communicated with your team, outmaneuvering, outflanking your enemies, outthinking them, all while trying to keep yourself alive. So, Gunny, did you watch me play The Division last week?
I watched a little bit of it. I wanted to say that people were trying to keep me busy left and right, so I didn't get to see too much of it, but it did look interesting. I did download it, so we can play it sometime if the beta is still, valid.
No, the beta expired at the end of the day, Sunday last week. It was a weekend thing. Well, the closed beta was to, look into the game and patch some things that really needed patching. And the open beta was to test the abuse that their servers could withstand. And they shut down for 2 hours. They shut the open beta down for 2 or 3 hours to make some adjustments to the server, and then it was gold. There were no more problems. They're set. They are ready to rock. And a lot of people bitched about not being able to do a lot of things in the beta. And honestly, I found that there was just enough content for me personally to, get to level 8 in the overworld, to get all the weapons I wanted, to get to the max level in the Dark Zone, to look at all the side missions, see what everything has to offer, to honestly see the size of the map. You've got a regular area and a Dark Zone area you can go to, and then when you look at the map and you zoom out, you're like, oh, well, this area takes this long for me to walk across, and I have this entire map to go into. I still don't know what the level cap is for that game. I still don't. There's a lot of things I don't know. I don't know about, the top tier weapons. I don't know how awesome it's going to be to clear an entire room with a box-fed machine gun. I have no idea, and that's what I'm antsy for. I want to see what all they've done with the game instead of what beta things they've done with the game. And I still need to do the first impressions of the beta before the actual game comes out. I've got some recorded footage I'm going to be doing with that, but I really enjoyed the experience. I liked all the small touches they added from the way the characters move with weapons, tucking their shoulders or tucking their elbows in and, not crossing their legs over each other. It just, it felt like a really solid shooter wrapped up in an RPG.
That's nice. Actually sounds pretty cool.
You like Borderlands, right?
Yeah.
Now picture Borderlands with the camera behind your character and the ability to take cover and then to go from that cover by holding one button to run from that cover to another cover point. Your tactical Borderlands. But in this one, you can modify your weapons, and you've got 2 action skills. You've got and skills you can choose from. Like for me, I used a scanner which told me where all the enemies were in a certain area, and my secondary was a turret gun that I used to pin people down while I snuck around them with a shotgun and ended their miserable lives.
Yeah, thinking about it, that almost feels like Borderlands meets Spec Ops.
Yeah, Borderlands, Spec Ops. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. Because I know Spec Ops was like, well, a lot of people said it was it was more than just a shooter. It was a really good game, and I'm gonna guess that the Division, I'm gonna guess the story mode in that, and all that.
There's no story. It's straight up. It's straight up MMO.
Just straight up. Okay. Well, I'm sure that there's going to be some actual story content.
Oh, there is.
Just going to be
quite a bit of it.
The world survive.
Yeah.
Because
inside of meeting areas or hub zones like Hudson, you'll see other players who are in the area. When you leave the city, it is only you and your team that you see. So if you and me and Axel and Buckets all ducked out, we teamed up in Hudson and we left, the four of us would be the only ones we saw in the overworld, and we'd be going in and interacting with characters and helping people and saving people. So it feels like it's a story that's being tailored for a single player experience in an MMO experience, and that's new.
that still sounds awesome, though.
Yeah, I felt they had a good concept, they executed it right, and I think they're going to end up making money hand over fist from this intellectual property.
It'll be interesting to see, initial playthroughs of it. I'm still, sort of on the fence about actually buying it more because of financial things instead of wanting it. Which, there's some things that have to come first, of course. But it definitely looks like an interesting game, and it's definitely going to be interesting to hear reviews, playthroughs, all that sort of stuff on it before actually playing it myself.
I really think you'd enjoy the experience, truthfully. Now, the last bit of news that I covered was this Zombie Raiders crap, with the fact that this company decided that they were going to duck out and leave everyone, leave the mods of the community out in the cold and not give them any kind of back-end support. People downloaded the game. People who'd been playing the game for a while found a duplication glitch. Those players became forces to be reckoned with, and in order to keep up, new players who were unaware of the glitch spent real money to acquire what the people duplicating things were getting. Developers don't address the duplication glitch, and community leaders / moderators give permission for the glitch to be used. However, I did fail to mention in the news report that one of the moderators from the forum corrected me on that using the mod or using the glitch at their disposal. Modwolf says that that's not completely true. I never gave an okay to use a glitch until it was severely apparent that the devs were gone and no one was coming to resolve it. Then I suggested using the glitch to everybody was accepted to keep playing the game at the same level as others until the devs came back and fully reset the servers, which would wipe all the duped items and reset players' gold and what they purchased. I didn't even know the glitch existed until after the devs disappeared. So homie he wasn't even aware that shit was going on until the devs already cut and run. Unfortunately, there is no legal recourse that can be taken against these guys. None. Zero. Because there is no law on the books against doing what they did. None. It's actually a pretty recent... I was talking to... he mostly handles copyright law for computers and technology. I also talked to a game developer, a producer, the guy behind Legends of Kalasia, and between the conversation between the two of them, I've basically come to learn that there is not a damn thing anyone can do unless the law is changed. Unless there is a law in place protecting the users, there's nothing that can be done to get these people their money back. Nothing. The business model is like the Stomping Lands on Steam. Let me get the exact quote from that legal advocate I spoke to. Let's see here. Scroll up here. Alright, let me roll this. Says, I explained the situation from him, and he says, technically it's 100% legal. They did shitty shit. People called them on it. They didn't have to refund the money, but it's a public relation. But the public relations is atrocious. So they just cut and run, drop the title and the company name. This is the Kickstarter slash. This is a Kickstarter slash Greenlight scheme. That's kind of a big deal. They legally don't have to finish the game. They didn't force the users to buy anything through microtransactions, and they'll do it again too. It's a working business practice nowadays. Gamers want games the moment they hear about them. So they grab up betas and alphas, invest in them because at that point the game is 90% hype, and you're playing the hype. People dump tons of cash onto this development company and then they run. There was a game on Steam called The Stomping Lands that looked amazing. The guy greenlit it, made $900,000 on the game, and this was 2 guys. The guy running it disappeared for 5 months. Then when he came back, said we're working on getting it in a new engine, so it'll be better. Then he disappeared completely. Steam even removed the green light for it. The other guy working on it, the 3D modeler, kept working, and after a while he says, I can't get a hold of the other guy. He won't return my calls. He hasn't paid me in a year, and I need to move on with my life. I'm sorry. The guy spent 6 months on 25% of a game and made just shy of $1 million and walked away. But because it's not technically illegal, he's allowed to do it. He's allowed to do it's a scheme. It's something that happens. It is an active working business practice these days. It is something that people do intentionally to get money. You build 20% of a game, you hype up around it, you're like, oh, people want the newest, greatest, best, whatever thing. They make money, they kill the business, they stop the game, they take the money and they walk away. Because you're sitting behind a keyboard, nobody knows your real name, you register as a new business with a new business license and a new intellectual property with a new game, and you do exactly the same thing, and in a matter of years, you've made over $1 million. It's a terribly shitty thing to do, but there's nothing that can be done about it. And Germinate brought this case to my attention. He let me know what was going on with this Zombie Raiders thing, and he wanted me. I told him I would look into it legally to see what could be done, and the answer is nothing. The answer, unfortunately, is that it is legal. It is 100% legal to do what they're doing, because nobody tricked them, nobody told them or forced them to purchase anything through microtransactions. They did it of their own volition. Understanding that it was an alpha or beta game or early access game. That's the issue. Because all they have to do is just stop working on the game and walk away. Okay. So they have the money, and what? They technically released a game. It was only 20% of a game, but it was a playable demo. It was a playable early access. So I've reached out to news media outlets, and I'm really hoping that they'll get back to me. Maybe get some traction under me to make this a law, to make a law that protects users in early access. Something along the lines of, hey, if this game is removed from, Steam or early access for any reason, you're eligible for a refund for all transactions that were done inside this game. So people that are playing Zombie Raiders or the Stomping Land that was on Steam can get their money back if the game goes tee up. If the game or the company goes tits up for any reason. But no, it's completely legal. They are allowed to do this legally.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, that's like basically what they're doing there is sort of like a Kickstarter in a way. If you think about it. I mean, I know that they're actually still also providing something, which might also be the reason why legally it's okay, because they did provide something, and it's not just they're taking your money.
Well, Greenlight
then again,
and crowdfunding, legally you're supposed to use that money for production of the game. But all you have to do is write yourself a fat fucking paycheck and say that it was, for use in developing, I was paying myself to develop this game. That's what the money went towards. It went towards, paying the employees. And then you can just cut and run, disappear, and nobody can do a fucking thing about it. So what happened with Zombie Raiders is completely legal.
I mean, yeah, it's sort of a broken system, but I feel like there's there's some issues with it, but I don't know how much can be done. But then again, I'm not like some sort of legal advocate.
Well, brother, if you make a system that can be exploited, it's not going to take long for somebody to exploit it. Like the rapid fire, blind fire grenade launcher thing that I fucking do in Grand Theft Auto. You're damn right I'm going to do it. It's there. I'm allowed to machine gun some goddamn grenades. Yes, please. I understand it. What I'm doing with the grenade launcher in GTA has nothing to do with the thousands, potentially millions of dollars that just these two companies, the people that made Zombie Raiders and the bros behind the Stomping Land. I understand that what I'm doing is nothing in comparison to the damage that they've done, but it's the same basic premise. You give anybody information on any kind of exploit, and they're going to do it. If there's going to be some motherfucker out there that exploits the system for greed. That's just the way it is.
I mean, yeah, there's always some sort of system with an exploit. There's plenty, so I've heard, in just the U.S. government system with like laws and stuff like that. Like, I've heard stories about, freaking burglar who, like, if they get hurt on your property, they can sue you.
They can sue you.
Shit.
Because there's a loophole in the law that allows them to do it. Because they got injured on your property. Doesn't matter why they were there, they got injured on your property. So, you have to pay their medical bills.
Yeah. There's some things that are just fucked up about it.
You have to pay the medical bill. You shoot the fucker.
No, I shit you not. If somebody breaks into your house and you shoot them in the leg and you don't kill them, because they got injured on your property, there is a pretty high percentage chance that a judge will rule in the favor of the person that broke into the house to make you pay their medical bills, even though they broke into your house. Which is why if anybody breaks into my house, I'm aiming for the head.
That's instead to take the second shot.
Oh no, I will straight up empty a mag at somebody that breaks into my house. And with the ammunition that I have, I wouldn't need more than one bullet. I'll just use all of them.
Fair enough.
Well, here's the thing: the technology and internet, like the internet itself. Let's go back here. When I was 9 years old, building my first computer, the internet was still kind of a small thing. You still were forced to type in www before all of the web addresses. Shit, you had to type in manually the HTTP before some of the URLs. And that was a long fucking time ago. And then the internet became a big thing, and now everyone's using it. You and I were having conversations over the internet, whatever. And gaming sort of took the same thing. It used to be in the hands of AAA developers. Ubisoft, Eidos, Square, whatever. As soon as the technology was available for users like myself and Gunny and yourself, Axel, to make games on their own, that opened up a whole wide range of shit. It's the same thing that happened with the game crash due mostly to third-party shit that wasn't being filtered out, or wasn't being vetted, being released on the Atari system, which accumulated in the epic pile of shit that was ET, which crashed the gaming market. As soon as you open the market up to everyone, you're gonna get some shady shit. People pumping out games that don't work, or people pumping out games just for a quick cash grab. And this is the digital version of that same thing. Unless either the users or the people controlling these clients like Steam or Origin or Uplay go in and make these changes or make laws to protect their customers, people are going to keep getting fucked over. That's just the way it is.
That actually reminds me slightly of the big boom in like the 1990s and 2000s, where there was like a huge release of these really bad plug and play stuff. It was basically just a controller you plug in.
Yeah, plug into your TV. Yep, I remember that.
It had supposedly thousands of games, but it was really 5 games over and over again, just with different skins.
Different skins, yeah. Shit. Well, what we're gonna run into is if this happens enough, if shit like this happens enough, eventually, people are going to stop putting their faith in indie titles, and indie developers are going to drown. Unless it's going to be like buying a TV, unless it's Sony or Samsung, nobody's gonna want to have to deal with it. So the same thing's going to happen to games, unless it's Valve or Ubisoft. Nobody's going to be interested in it because there's not any brand name put to it.
Well, that may or may not be true. I mean, there will be certain developers who may maintain some integrity because there's certainly certain indie developers and names in the indie industry who've made some good games and always, they've been a faithful source of these games.
Well, unfortunately, there are more shitty people in this world than there are good people. And I really hate to say it like that, but it's true. There are more...
It's true.
I guarantee you there are more shady, shisty game developers like these mad skill fucks in the world than there are like the bro that made Unturned, like the 16-year-old guy that made Unturned.
The problem I see with this is that these guys who were developing this thing, they've cut and run, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they can just change the name of their business and no one will know.
That's exactly, no, like I was telling Gold King, that's a business model now.
I think that they should have their names attributed to any business that they run. So you can see quite easily, oh, these are the guys who made Zombie Raiders. Fuck them. I'm not buying their new business's product.
But they don't have to. I can go right now and get a business license under an alias in order to do my thing. There's the technology for indie development is such a new thing that unless something drastic happens, unless somebody makes enough noise, nothing's going to change. Which is why I sent all this information to news outlets, which is why I'm trying to make as much of a stink about this as I can and get everybody involved in trying to make this right. And I understand that if there is law passed because of what happens here, that Mad Skill and people like them are going to be grandfathered in. So all the money that they've taken previously doesn't have to go back to their users, but for the future, it helps a lot. I mean, I'm kind of stuck in this position now where I really want to do something, but because there's nothing illegal, technically, going on here, I can't do a fucking thing. Nobody can do a fucking thing. And that's shitty. Because there are some really nice, really good people, and this is just happening to them for whatever reason. And these are my people. Gamers, they're my people. I get along with every fucking gamer, I don't care. Well, except for some shit-talking 12-year-old British kids. You're a camping wanker! Fuck you, Scrub Lord, I've got a sniper rifle. This is my job, this is what I'm supposed to do. You go fucking play with your mom's flapjacks, you shit.
Well, okay. But, to be quite fair, this is like... when was the first instance of this particular, business model happening?
I don't know. I have no idea. I know that there was a large saturation of this kind of thing from indie Asian developers, like the mobile market. It happens on mobile games more frequently than PC games, but it happens on PC games too. It's a thing. And to track it all the way back to its source, shit, we'd have to go to some seedy town in Shanghai, find some sweatshop where a bunch of 4-year-olds are coding the next Candy Crush.
That'd be perfectly fair. This hasn't been something I've heard about, personally. I don't know how aware the gaming community is of this as it is right now. I don't know if this is going to be a problem that grows or not. This could be just a recent problem in general, and if it is a recent problem, then of course we got to give the legal system time, which is unfortunate because that just gives time for this to keep happening.
All right, well let's think for a second. How many? No, and not even using the word indie, how many straight-up indie titles have you ever played?
Oh, God.
I don't count Rocket League as an indie title, because it was built with a AAA budget on AAA systems, and even the developer said that his end goal was to get it on consoles. So, with that budget and that tech, that is not an indie game. I'm talking like 1 or 2 guys sitting in their garage making a game. That's indie.
To be perfectly honest, I don't know how many games I've played by 1 or 2 guys.
Okay, did you play Undertale?
I played Undertale.
Did you play Unturned?
I played Unturned, yeah, you know that.
Okay. Just in comparison to...
FNAF is actually technically an indie game. If you actually think about it, that was like made by just like one guy.
Right. So we'll compare you know, handful crews to AAA budget AAA system crews. The amount of indie games people play is few and far between. I played Proteus, which was an indie title. It was made by 2 guys. The Beginner's Guide, which was made by 1 guy. The Stanley Parable, which was 3 guys. Dr. Langeskov, which was 2 guys. Like those are indie titles. But in comparison, with my shit, I think I'm well above 300 titles now in my Steam library. Just in comparison, 95% of the games that I have are big name AAA titles, all of them. And out of the small handful of indie games, I hear about the ones that other people are playing. I don't go out and try and discover them myself, like a lot of up-and-coming gamers are trying to find the indie thing, the hipster thing to play. And this is the problem. People are eating up alphas and betas too quickly, like, oh, I'm going to scoop this up and be the first person to get to level 80. And then they cut and run, and you're fucking confused. So, misinformation, being misinformed, and people being shitty is basically what it boils down to. And it's, you know, this has been a common thing for the last 2 or 3 years, Gunny. It's something that's happened for a while.
Yeah. To be perfectly honest, like with my gaming experience, I would say that AAA games and indie games for me is actually more evened out, probably. I mean, I know I've had like all the Xbox games over the years. I haven't gotten into PC gaming until recently, but ever since I did get into PC gaming, I didn't buy too many large name titles, and the ones that I did were normally maybe in a bundle or you know, I don't play them as much as I do play the indie games, because I do enjoy. There's sometimes, well, certain indie games, of course, have those certain charms, but I do enjoy just a bit more than AAA games, because AAA games, of course, nowadays they seem to be focusing on graphics, they seem to focus on one thing or the other. Indie games sometimes they're just trying to focus more on the story, more on development, more than etc.
The problem isn't even necessarily indie, I think. The problem is early access and betas. That is the issue. True. A game like DayZ Standalone being in early access for over 3 years is retarded. Right? But that's, I mean, I know they're working on the game and they've been having some tech struggles with their systems and like rearranging their crew and whatever, and that's fine, right? Like, I get it. That's not a game that's going to get brushed under the rug, but it could have. It could have been somebody taking the DayZ intellectual property, making an early access of it, waiting for everyone to dump their, you know, throw their wallets at the company, and then they could have just cut and run. Having a game early access for that long is the issue. Releasing a game on the fucking Android marketplace for official releases, releasing it as a beta, and then asking for microtransactions? The problem is you're building an incomplete game and then putting it out on early access and basically crowdfunding it, saying, okay, well, if you buy the early access, I can afford to keep working on the game. No, that is not how a game is built. You build the game first and make money second. It's not, you don't mix it in like a fucking waffle. That's not how you do it.
Yeah, I mean, that can be a problem, though, with some certain developers, you know, certain developers might be like, if we don't make money on this, we're fucked. So,
I get it.
Some of them might just be like, we do need to focus on money, and that might be, you know, sometimes the reasons why.
Well, okay, then you crowdfund it first. You go to, you know, some kind of crowdfunding and say, hey, this is an idea for a game I have. It is something that can be built. I need this much money to build it, or I think I need this much money to build it. You don't drop 10% of a game and then ask for people's money. That is fucked up. I refuse to pay for a game that is still in early access. Refuse. No game that in my library that is currently early access I paid for myself. DayZ was a gift to me. A bunch of other games as well are still early access that were given to me. Something about seeing that early access thing has always kind of made me think, why am I going to spend $40 on an incomplete title? Why am I going to spend $60 on an incomplete title? Now, if you say, hey, $2 for early access will get you a beta. When the game comes out, pay fucking $40 and you'll get the entire game. Cool. So I'm paying a very, very small amount for an early access and then actually making money. Like, there's so many fucking problems here, and this is why I think there aren't any laws against it, because it's such a complex topic. It's not something you can blanket all and say in every instance this is what needs to be done. I think before you're allowed to put
that
something...
never works, though.
Right, I think in order to put something on crowdfunding, you need to have a tech demo. You need to have a beta available. And you, by no means, should you have to pay for this demo or this beta, or should there be microtransactions in it? One. Period.
Well, also, that is another thing, is this is like online, so it's like, as far as I know, as far as pushing laws online go, like how many laws are there online that affect literally everyone?
RIAA, Recording Industry Association of America, all the anti-piracy. There's a shit ton. And there are even some countries that will extradite to the United States for somebody breaking a tech law in the United States. So if somebody in, example, South Korea steals, I think there's a $2,000 floor on that or whatever. But if somebody, say somebody in South Korea steals movies from Warner Brothers, equaling over $2,000. Warner Brothers can ask the United States government to extradite them to the United States, and they will.
Okay.
There are a whole bunch of tech laws. It's basically the UN for internet law.
Okay, now how many of those laws apply to video games?
None. I mean, I know there are anti-piracy laws in games, but most times the game companies take care of that shit themselves. Broad blanket gaming laws for internet, nothing. Because gaming is not taken as a serious art form, it's not taken as a serious medium, it's not taken as it's not taken as anything serious. Nobody takes it seriously. It's like, oh, gaming, fucking whatever. We're not gonna make laws about monopoly or risk.
Just game. Why you have get made?
It's just game. Why you have get made?
But yeah, that's also probably another part of the issue, is that, you know, how often do you think someone like Congress is just going to get together and going to be like, okay, there's someone ripping off the video game industry, what do we do? No, they're not going to.
What you need to do is you need to get, not the CEO from AAA companies, because those guys are fuckboys. You get the interns from a couple of big name, like you get one from Microsoft, you get one from Sony, you get one from Nintendo, and then you get a bunch of the publisher / dev. Like Ubisoft and Valve and Square and Eidos and EA, right? All the interns from there, along with some professional Twitch gamers and a couple of YouTubers, and you sit them down in a fucking room with Congress and you say, look, what are the problems that are going on in this field? Because there's something needs to be done about this. You guys are... interns are working there for free, so they obviously have a passion for what they're doing. People that do Twitch and YouTube obviously have a passion for what they're doing. People that work at dev companies have a passion for what they're doing. So it would be easy for all of them to sit down in a room and come to some kind of consensus regarding what laws need to be put in place to protect consumers of the gaming industry. There needs to be some kind of protection for them, instead of all this fucking protection for the devs and the publishers and the distributors. Who the fuck is protecting the gamers from getting ripped off? Who is stopping us from getting fucked over? I mean, most of the time I put my faith in Valve, but I mean, even they have their shortcomings.
That's something that, you know, we're just gonna have to eventually figure out, because unless someone actually goes ahead and actually tries to make that meeting happen, or someone with, like, you know, enough influence with those people, you know, tries to make this happen, it's you know, the sad story is it's probably not going to happen unless someone actually goes forward and tries to get this done and advocates for it.
And anybody, if I walked into, you know, a congressional hearing or whatever, or an open floor,
Probably
for people
start
to come
by
and
getting
talk.
old people to stop saying that gamers are lazy.
Yeah, that's good. If I were to walk into Congress or walk into the open floor meeting or whatever, I would need to try and find a way to explain things in a way that they understand. Because I guarantee those 40, 50, 60-year-old dudes don't play any fucking games. And then
you'd have to explain it in a way that will make them money.
Yeah, and then you have to wait for the people that are fucking us over to defend them, to defend their actions. And then they're fucking going to. And as soon as those fucks decide that they're going to try and lobby Congress by paying them the money that they're stealing from people, it's going to get brushed under the rug. The United States is run by the goddamn mafia. There's nothing that's going to be done about this. It's just something we're going to need to be informed. We're going to need to be in communication with each other about, shitty, shisty developers and publishers and short-sighted development and shit like that. We need to stay informed. Which is why we're having this conversation here and why I'm covering it in the news. It's to stay informed. My job is to inform, entertain, and expose. That's my job. That's what I do. So as long as this...
No wonder you got arrested.
Right? I exposed myself to the wrong people. They informed the police, and that was entertaining.
But yeah, until there's actually going to be laws in place, which, is going to be debatably either decades from now, near future, or maybe even never. But until we can get those things protecting, uninformed people, we just need to be aware. We need to be smart online. We just need to actually, it's just, we gotta be careful, because, the world is filled with good people, the world is also filled with a whole bunch of assholes. At least in my opinion.
I think what I want to do...
goes for online as well, because there's definitely more of both.
What there needs to be is a website where you can go and type in the name of a developer and get everything that they've ever released, the people, the names of the people who are in charge of the company, and whether or not they've been red flagged as being shitty people.
Well, that is one thing about the internet, is the, animosity of... Is that a proper word for anonymous?
Yes.
Animosity? Okay. But yeah, there's the animosity of just...
It's that would be anonymity.
Anonymity, thank you. But there's the anonymity of just people online, and that's one of the supposed rights of the internet.
No, it's not, because it's technically illegal to fill a false name into anything that you sign up for on the internet. Period. It is illegal to use a false name on the internet.
To be completely honest, though, that's still a common practice, and
I know.
No one.
Nobody's gonna fucking prosecute everybody in the world, but it is technically illegal.
Yeah, in technicality, but still, it's you're anonymous online, say for like your IP address, and besides that, you can do just about anything without getting caught with just like the right precautions. It's it's the internet, so all you can really do is be careful. I've sometimes heard of it being called like the Wild West. It's kind of lawless, even though there's laws in place. One freaking sheriff out there can't stop all the desperados.
True. So what I think needs to happen is all of us need to be informed. All of us need to be educated. And people who go in and scoop up these alphas and betas and early access games on any platform, it doesn't matter what it is, PC, mobile, console, whatever, you need to be aware of the fact that if they decide they want to stop making that game, they can. And whatever money you gave them is theirs, and you can't do a fucking thing about it. Sorry, this shit just pisses me off. I tend to get really passionate about things like this. Something that creates waves in the gaming world. I don't like my boat getting rocked. I don't. I want to sit here.
It's just game. Why you have to get mad?
It's just game. Why you have to get mad?
But it's not just games.
Well, it's just gamers and developers and publishers and a bunch of other stuff, and there's a whole bunch of things working. I mean, loopholes, tons of them.
Yeah.
That people are exploiting, and that's just it. That's just how it is. It's just like in a game. Somebody finds an exploit, they're going to use it. Just like in the real world, if there's an exploit or some kind of loophole in the system, somebody's going to use it.
Yeah.
It sucks, but that's the way of the world. Well, Axel, do you have anything to add, my good friend?
Not really, no.
No?
Much all that needs to be said.
Gunny?
I don't think there's much more I can add to this topic without further conversation.
The last thing that I have to say is stay informed. It doesn't matter if it's something big or something little, ask questions and get answers. That's what separates you from the animals. That's what separates you from the rest of the sheep that call themselves humans. You are a part of the wolf pack. You will grab things by their throat and rip them to shreds, because that's how you do. I'm Jack. We will be back with Friday Funsies after this. Cheers.
Awesome. So, to be quite fair, I actually just woke up. What are we doing? Okay.
I'm already in one, so as soon as you get in, I can send you. Invite.